What's up, guys? Welcome to Tri-State Fitness. Today we traveled all the way to CrossFit Nashville to meet with the one and only, I know it's like 6 miles away, the one and only Kristen Reffett is here with us, and we're going to be talking a little bit today about whether we should be going heavy and doing fewer reps or maybe going lighter and doing more reps. Before we kind of dig into that, we want to kind of talk to Kristen a little bit, learn a bit more about her background and kind of see what got her into fitness and all that stuff. So thanks for coming on, by the way. You're like, this is like the second or maybe third episode, so we're all still new to it, so if we mess anything up, don't make fun of us. But tell us a little bit about your background, kind of what got you in.
Yeah, so I've been doing CrossFit with CrossFit Nashville for about 5.5 years now. So when I moved to Nashville, looked online, there's like 3 CrossFit gyms in Nashville at the time.
At that time?
At the time, CFN was in Preston's backyard, and I was like, yeah, that's my style. I'm new. I want to start with some newbies and kind of grow the gym, and so that's what I've done. Been with them from the beginning, pretty much. I think I was their first person who searched them online and joined the gym.
Awesome.
And then maybe about a year and a half after being with them, I got my L1 and started coaching. So I've been coaching for about 4 years with CFN. So, and at the time, actually, I used to be an accountant. So I was working at a hospital corporation that's here in Nashville.
Way different.
Yeah.
Just a little bit different.
Studied accounting, got my CPA, was doing internal audit, did that for as long as...
That's awesome. I did not know that. That's great.
She's great at her percentages on her lifts, though.
Yeah.
I am good at barbell math.
Like what is this on the bar? Can you tell me real quick?
So I was doing that when I moved to Nashville, but super excited every day after work to go to CrossFit. Looking at what's the workout of the day, can't wait, sit at my desk, okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. So I realized, I looked up the chain of command, I'm like, I don't want to be any of you guys in that chain of command, no offense. I just hate being in an office. I'm kind of a nerd, I like geeking out a little bit, but I don't want to be in an office for 8 hours a day. I love the gym, so why don't I get paid to be in a gym? So I made it a year and a half in that career. I told myself I'd go for 2 years. I only made it a year and a half.
That's all right.
Quit that and started pursuing a life in the fitness industry. Cool. So ended up getting my ACSM, CPT, USA weightlifting. I'm up to CrossFit level 2 right now.
Nice.
So
cool. Did you do your L1 at Mayhem?
I did my L1 back at CrossFit Atlanta.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
And my L2 at Mayhem.
L2 at Mayhem?
Yeah.
So.
Went interested at that L2 here recently.
It's cool. It's worth it. It's fun.
It looks really cool. The L1 blew my mind because I did NASM CPT first before I even discovered CrossFit, and then I went there and that was my first really in-person kind of cert that I was there and learning something, and I was just mind blown. James did my cert, and he's like, listen, there's gonna be so much information thrown at you, so just try to catch it all as you can. And I'm just filled up a whole notebook. I'm like, this is awesome. There's so much going on.
I wish all fitness certs were actually impressive.
I do too. I really do. Yeah, it's so better than
USA weightlifting. That was a very similar experience of, hey, you got a barbell on your hands all weekend, and I left with doing 95 pounds on the bar, Oli lifts, just roasted. Traps and muscles I didn't know I had. Over and over and over and over.
Oh my gosh, It's even though it doesn't matter what experience level you have going in, you're always going to take away something. Even if you go back to your level 1 today, you're going to be filling up a notebook full of stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's
just the basics.
with a PVC pipe.
So the L2, you'll get called out in a circle, and it's the same kind of but it's in a good atmosphere.
Yeah, of course it is.
Positive,
Whenever you tell somebody that, there's a circle and there's people watching you squat, they're like, that sounds so uncomfortable.
Judging you.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it does sound that way, but trust me, it's not like that. It feels very informative. It doesn't feel like you're getting called out, but
it's kind of like CrossFit. You're never perfect at everything.
Yeah.
But it's an okay thing.
Yeah, it's all right. This is just the pursuit of perfectness. Perfectness. It is now. We just made it one. Well, cool. The big question of the day is, I just got asked this the other day, is should you go heavy and do fewer reps, or should you go lighter and do more reps? So I'll let you kind of maybe take the first answer at that before we kind of all talk about it.
The correct answer is yes.
I love it. The best answer. I love it. Yes.
Be better.
I'm going to answer all those questions now with that. That's what Kristen said.
Yes.
I like short and simple answers. But yeah, you should do both. So it's totally relative to what the task is that day and what your goals are going forward. But for what we generally do, general fitness, in that world, you're gonna need both. So whether that's in a strength program, you're not going to go to the gym doing 1 rep maxes every day or 3 rep maxes every day. You need to expand upon those nasty 10 reps here and there, all those gross things that are just horrible. And same thing in CrossFit. Like once you get comfortable with the movements, once the mechanics are there, the consistency of the mechanics are there, then once you're comfortable moving that, it's good to push yourself on the weight as well. So if you're comfortable bailing with the barbell, things like that, or kettlebell swings, anytime we're moving a weight, once the mechanics are there and we're moving good, I'm a big believer in certain workouts, let's push that weight, let's see where you're at. Because you're gonna know how to put that barbell down at the right time.
I think that's good with like mechanics too, because I feel like sometimes I get asked that question with people that are like 30 days in.
Yeah,
and it's like,
really.
hang on, let's back things up a little bit. We were talking the other day, what's your training age? Like, okay, are you 30 days old, or are you like 3 years into it? Okay, and that's going to change your answer a little bit, but that's really good. Shane, what do you got? What do you think, man?
As far as heavy or light, it depends on what your goal is. Actually, like heavy for strength, more reps, lighter weight, hypertrophy if you're trying to get the aesthetics part of it, or look good, or just fatigue the muscle, and training endurance other than strength. But I agree.
Yeah.
What Kristen said.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
As far as goals, because not everybody's doing just
that's
GCP either.
Yeah, I'm always the short answer guy. Yes, I agree. Of course, people assume that I'm always going to be, hey, go heavier. But I think it depends on the person, the athlete, kind of what their goals are. If they're a newer lifter and they're seeing everybody do heavier weight and they're just trying to crush it and they're just falling apart biomechanically, you're like, okay, let's regress that a little bit. Let's kind of clean that up. And again, always our job as a coach to address that stuff. So we can kind of guide them in a way as, hey, I think you just need to back off and go a little bit lighter just to clean up that biomechanically on those movements. Or, hey, you're ready to go heavy. Let's push that a little bit. Don't be afraid to push yourself. You've been going light for a while. Let's up that a little bit. Do fewer reps, really explosive movements, be nice and crisp. You look pretty good right now. So it all depends on the person, I think.
I think that's a pretty common answer. Is it depends.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it depends.
So much gray area.
Depends.
Depends on the workout too.
Yeah,
So some
absolutely.
workouts, you're meant to do 20 reps holding onto the bar or weight. Some you have 20 reps, but maybe they're supposed to be single reps. So
And
it depends on the purpose. Yeah. It just depends on the
That's
purpose.
a good question. So how do you address that as a coach when you clearly know it's a Fran or a Grace or something that's super high volume, and you see a guy that's prideful like me, and I put 225 on the bar, I'm like, about to crush this, about to prove myself. How would you address something like that?
Yeah, so definitely step one is, what's your training age? I like that term, to where you're at. But I kind of give people that time frame. So let's say it is a Fran workout. This is meant to be a sprint. You're meant to go unbroken or close to unbroken, fewest as possible on this. So scale that accordingly to you, whatever that might be. So maybe 225 doesn't make sense for you today. At the same time, maybe like in the CrossFit world, we have prescribed weights for those certain workouts, and it's kind of like a badge of honor to be able to do maybe Fran RX.
Yeah.
And maybe that takes you 12 minutes when the elite people might take them 2 minutes. But I say if you're moving well, I think sometimes go for it.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna hurt I know it's not the point of the workout,
Yeah.
but it's a first. I like having a starting base.
Yeah.
I have some really, really long times on my first RX
Yeah.
workouts, and it's fun to
Same
go back
here.
to.
Yeah, I think we all did. Yeah.
Yeah, like an 18-minute Diane. Like that's not the point. But next time I did it, I did it in 12 minutes, and how cool is that to improve by like 6 minutes in a workout?
I think that's a good thing too, is talking about like we just did Diane like the other day too. It's really funny. That keeps coming up. That come up like the past couple of days. But is also talking about I lost my train of thought. Oh, training versus like testing.
Yeah.
Like, are we testing a workout to put a start point? Like, this is where I started, or am I just training today to get a certain aerobic response or metabolic response, really, from something? So, am I training today where I want a certain aerobic response, or am I testing something to where this is going to be a benchmark, and I'm going to come back to this in 6 months or whatever to see how much better I get? So that's kind of a good way to look at it too, because again, my first Fran time was like 12 minutes, but I'm like, I'm doing it RX. But we did it not too long ago. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to get this thing like in the 5 to 6 minute mark. Let's see what happens. So I dropped the weight way down, and then that was my training day. It wasn't my test day. I wasn't testing anything that day.
One thing the importance of that both of you guys are kind of hinting around is that you're actually tracking progress.
Yeah.
So again, I think that's a common mistake for newer people in the gym. It might be a regular thing for us, and you're like, hey, what's your time? Or hey, have you logged this? Or hey, how have you progressed? You know, or I've seen you progress, but I can't memorize 400 athletes' times and 400 athletes' weights.
I'm not a rep counter.
Yeah, I'm not a rep counter. I correct form, I don't count your reps. So getting the athlete used to, hey, track this stuff. This is awesome to go back and see your progress, like to see your results. If you've gained a little bit of lean mass, if you lost a little bit of body fat, if you've increased your times or increase your weight. So I think that logging is something that athletes do, but if we can get people doing it from the get-go and learning the importance of tracking, logging, and data, you know, the CPA over here, data is important.
I need my metrics.
I have my log, my very I've been tracking almost everything.
Of course,
from the beginning.
of course.
But
it's color coded.
Well, for that reason of, you know, like, well, okay, we got snatches today. I go back, like, what's the last time? You know, and how heavy and how many reps I have to do. Because when you're new, everything's so new that, I mean, even number person, I can't remember it. But now
absolutely.
as a CrossFit athlete for 5.5 years, it's so cool going back and saying, oh, I tested my max back squat, it was a 115. Like,
Now, I think in the CrossFit world, it's more kind of like an everyday thing. Like you enter into the water fire, you enter beyond the whiteboard. But for those that are like at an Orange Theory or maybe a boot camp, various boot camp, or even Fit Factory, where we don't really track that stuff, it's good to have just a journal of like, what did I do and like how much did I do? And I think that gets missed. If you're not in that CrossFit world, that gets missed a lot, and that's like an important tool for just knowing where you are and where you got to go. That way you don't end up at Gold's Gym just doing the same bench press for like a year straight and you're not seeing any progress because you can't remember what you did last week or 6 months ago or whatever. Because a lot of people get stuck in that rut just because they're not tracking or keeping up with their reps or weight
Also
or anything like
doing
that.
that same 85% for 3 reps every week.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, they said I should only lift 3 times. And I'm what?
Does it work?
Yeah, does that work? But yeah, that's really cool. That's kind of the main question that we had today for you. But thanks for coming on, by the way. We really do appreciate it. And until next week, guys, we'll talk to you later. And we'll be posting weekly videos, so just keep an eye out for that. But until then, we'll see you later. Thanks.
Thanks.